Christine Tulley, President and Executive Writing Coach at Defend, Publish, and Lead, and welcome to episode 241, Write the First Week of Class Again. If you've been with us for a while, you know that around August, I always like to do an episode talking about the importance of writing the first week of class. And I thought I'd just take a quick episode to talk about a few ways that this might happen for you, ideally even on the first day of class. So depending when your semester starts, if you're like many people, writing is the last thing on your mind. Scholarly writing is not the thing that you want to be working on. You want to get your classes ready. You don't have your syllabus done. Maybe your room location changed. Maybe you're working with online students. And there's just a lot going on at the beginning of the year. I have a lot of required paperwork I have to turn in. I have to kind of pay attention to like course rosters and what's happening. And there's just a lot. And so I know for me, it is incredibly difficult to be focused on scholarly writing and worrying about any of that stuff when teaching seems so much more immediate at the beginning of the academic year. And that's something I've talked about in the previous two episodes where we've talked about this subject. But I want to say two things that I think might be helpful to think about in this busy time. One is that if you can start thinking about writing during the first week of class, or ideally the first day of class, and you actually block out some time, and even better, you actually pull it off, you're starting to lay down the groundwork that scholarly writing is a habit and that it fits in the new schedule of your semester. So one of the things that we know about the semester is once you get into week 3, you've got some habits laid down for whatever the new schedule is going to be. And so if you have already worked in some writing time, you've already blocked it, and you've managed to at least show up for that writing time, even if the quality isn't all that great, you've started to lay down the habit that scholarly writing is going to happen in a time slot that you've picked, and that doesn't necessarily happen by default. So that's the first thing. The second thing about it, though, is that I try to think about scholarly writing time matched up much more against our teaching and specific contexts than I used to. We all know that it makes a difference if you're writing around the time of a class that maybe is a struggle for you, or one that you kind of dread going to. Writing before that class maybe is not the best time to be doing scholarly writing. And it's the same thing if you have a very crammed semester and you've only got these little fragments for writing. Thinking through what projects match up against those times early in the semester is a much better use of writing time to be strategic about how to use that. I had one semester where I taught an overload with lots of classes, and I had just fragmented time all over the place. That semester, I actually managed to figure out, find a couple different calls for proposals, suggest, put in some things for like getting book chapters published and some conference papers, and also work on some slides and some stuff that I just generally put on the back burner if I'm working on a scholarly article or a book or something like that. So sometimes looking at that semester and looking at the writing time that you have available, especially in that first week before you start grading and before you start having to do heavy duty prep, sometimes that can be really useful to just look at that semester and say, what are some projects I could actually pull off this semester in the time that's available? So this is my special challenge to you. Depending, I know some of us are back already, some of us don't go for a week or two, and others of us are not starting till September. But wherever you are, I would think through seeing if you can start writing on your first day of class. If it already passed you, I would try to figure out a way to write on the second day or a third day or the first week. Or if now you're going into a second week, maybe starting on that Monday of the second week. But starting with that fresh energy to really commit to putting in some time to writing in the schedule, the way that it looks right now during this particular semester, and whatever challenges and time constraints you have in this semester. So hopefully that helps, and happy writing this week.